Mzansi, the football doesn't end, only the matches do. Our job is to keep you talking football in between the matches. Welcome to it. It is Game On, and so much to talk about with what in Germany. Of course, Munich keeping the gap away from the chasing pack. We'll be discussing that later on in the show with Shane McGregor. As far as South Africa goes, we'll be talking about Mamelodi Sundowns and how they've also kept their gap from the chasing pack. And in Jerry's Kosana, he'll be coming down to break down the beautifully South African game. And starting off the show, of course, got the pleasure of introducing Shane McGregor to talk all things England. And there is Liverpool that are doing likewise, keeping the chasing pack at bay. So, without further ado, time now for Game On. Well, we are reaching that time of the season, March, April, May. This is the time when seasons are won or lost, depending on the results. Shane McGregor here to help us break down the English game. Good day to you, Shane. Interesting results in as far as the chasing pack, or maybe the one team that's really chasing down Liverpool at the top. Arsenal coming a bit unstuck at a point where the pressure is really on in the season. They had the game against West Ham, lost 1-0, and a bit telling now in the pressure.
Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, you know, when you play derby games, and I told you this last week, it's always difficult. You know, teams rise above themselves when they play against in a derby game. It's one of those things, and you know, unfortunately for Arsenal, they've given it away at the wrong time.
Earlier on in the season, if not last season, you and I discussed London clubs and how difficult it is for London clubs to win the league because of so many derbies, thus meaning so many high-pressure games.
Exactly. You know, you've got so many around there. Chelsea, you've got Arsenal, you've got West Ham, you've got Fulham. They're all in and around that area.
Tottenham.
So, Tottenham, all derby games, you know, so it's very difficult to win it from there. And once again, Arsenal, you know, let their fans down. I watched Arteta in the change room after the game. A few choice words were said. And I agree with him, you know, the players just weren't good enough on the day.
The need, we've touched on this again and again, the need for a bona fide goal scorer out at Arsenal. I mean, they've had Jesus in the past, Kyle Havertz, the likes thereof. Good players, but we're talking numbers here. It's a numbers game when it comes to goals.
Yeah, you see the difference with them and Liverpool. Liverpool also don't have that out-and-out striker, if you think about it. But they've got players around them that are scoring the goals, from the midfielders to the wide players. Arsenal don't have that at the moment, unfortunately. They don't have that prolific scorer, and they don't have that person that's converting the goals. So that is a problem. They do need to find someone. I still feel Liverpool need to find a striker as well. You know, Nunes has been given so many chances. I mean, look where he is. I mean, he misses the easiest chances and then scores the difficult ones. That's not a striker. So both teams will have to look at it. But, you know, Arsenal are struggling in that department.
Now, let's talk about another London side, Chelsea. Of course, in the top four race, and have done so well, improved so much to get to this point this season that they are in the battle for a top four spot this season, up against Aston Villa. And we all know that's a difficult trip to make. Aston Villa beating them with a 2-1 scoreline.
Yeah, you know, so it's always a difficult game, and you look at these two teams, they've got to keep on winning, they've got to keep on getting results if they want to be in that top four. Man City have started to come right, so they're getting the goals. So, yeah, it's been a hard one. Villa, my worry, and I always said this, is the squads, the same as Nottingham Forest. Their squads aren't that huge, and that's the telling factor coming now, tired legs.
Tight legs, you say, and for Nottingham Forest, they come up against Newcastle, serve up possibly the game of the week out in Europe with a 7-goal thriller, and thriller it was, 4-3 Newcastle walkaway winners. Newcastle need the win, considering they've come unstuck over the last month or so. Yeah,
and it's one of those games again, you know, here we must win for both teams, and Newcastle were value for the money on the day. Unfortunately, Forest, as I say, you know, they've done well. I thought the wheels would have come off a lot earlier, but the wheels seem to have come off for them now.
Now, for Arsenal fans, they would have had fingers crossed ending off the weekend. City up against Liverpool. Yes, City haven't been that great, but City are at home. And Liverpool, again, keep a clean sheet, but are clinical in scoring 2 goals and just taking the result.
But if you looked at, I watched the game, I watched the whole game, and Liverpool were brilliant in defending. They really were brilliant. They got every player behind the ball. Every player knew exactly what to do. Very disciplined, and caught Man City on the break. And that's what we know. Man City are vulnerable at the back, and this just proved the fact. Man City had 70% of the game, but they still lost 2-0. Great performance defending performance from Liverpool, and then also on the break. You know, could have been 3, but a little fingernail difference in a goal.
Yeah, Liverpool do it again. against Newcastle midweek with a 2-0 scoreline. Look, they're keeping the clean sheets and doing what needs to be done out in the attack by scoring goals.
That's been
nice
the big
balance,
thing.
Yeah,
That's been the big thing, is keeping the clean sheet. You know? So going well. Once again, worries. They've got a couple of defenders out injured, and two right backs, Gomez and Bradley, are out injured. But doing the job. You know, I watched the game. They were different class. You know, value for money. Got the goals. They could have won by more, but at the end of the day, it was the exact opposite to the Man City game. They had all the possession.
Yeah.
Just weren't penetrating enough. But 2-0, that's all they have to do now. Just keep on winning.
Arsenal, meanwhile, their struggles continue with that 0-0 scoreline against Forest, who possibly had a chance to try and make a fight for a top 2 spot if they had the 3 points over Arsenal.
Yeah. Once again, a desperate game that. Winner at all costs. End of the day, played into Liverpool's hands with a draw. So, Liverpool 13 clear. They got 10 games and Arsenal got 11.
Game of 2 halves, City-Tottenham. Tottenham lose 1-0, but Tottenham put up a proper fight in the second half, and it's a wonder they don't find the back of the net against City.
But once again, you're looking at a Tottenham team where their players are coming back. Remember, I've been saying that they have had a lot of players are injured. The players are coming back. You can see in the performances how well they're starting to play. So, they're going to be a team next year we can look at. But for now, what can we say?
So as things stand, it's Liverpool at the top of the standings out in England. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest and City round up the top 4. Chelsea just outside of that top 4. And what a battle it is. They're 1 point behind Manchester City. It's rather exciting as far as that top 4 battle. But some may be beginning to think Liverpool may be sitting pretty. But Shane doesn't agree though, yeah?
Not yet.
Not yet. So we'll see how things unfold. On the other side of this, Jerry Skosana steps in and we discuss what's going on in Zanzi with Sundowns, keeping ahead of the Chasing Park.
Game on. Do it, my boy! No! How did he miss that?
Even my Coco can kick better than that.
Wanna bet?
You are on.
Breaking news. Goko takes a prize challenge to a penalty shootout.
Aziz again.
Let's go.
Brian looks confident here. What? He's completely missed it. Here comes Goko. And what a kick! She's done it! She's done the impossible! Hollywoodbets, Azishege, let's play.
Welcome back as we discuss the South African game, of course, with Jerry Skosana. And there's so much to talk about here, including the results. Jerry Swabonile, good to be in your company once again. Starting Cape Town City in Orlando Pirates, Mushin Mafiga made a bit of a statement. Pirates playing at home, but for this revenge, they had to work for it, winning 2-1.
Yeah, thanks, Caesar. I think it was a good result for Pirates because remember what Sundowns is just pulling away. So it's pressure for Pirates at least to give a fight. So obviously they were looking from the first round where they lost to Mushin when it just came to Cape Town City, but they wanted to make sure that the revenge was on the card.
Another side that was looking for revenge was Mamelodi Sundowns, Badala and TX Galaxy. The only difference, home game for Sundowns. Hey, and Sundowns, if we're getting our woman, 4-1.
Hey, these results sometimes, Gule football, they are so tricky.
Yeah.
When you do the betting part of it, sometimes you look at the club and say, no, TS Galaxy is a better team because they are the ones that disturbed the Sundowns. Hey, Sundowns, a football form. You call it Sundowns like of late, like a 4x4 Kabuyelo. It's like you've got Chiefs getting 4, Pirates getting 4.
Galaxy 4.
Galaxy 4. This is Kukune 4. Sundowns, they mean business. They really mean business, yeah.
Now, Amazulu is an interesting case for me. Bashayima case 3-1 or 3-0 on Saturday. But then the news then comes out with Uvilagazi parted ways with the club, leaving Athazwani, of course, in charge as the sole coach. Did you see this coming, and did it come as a surprise to you?
For me, I did notice something because every time Amazulu played a game, when Amazulu did well, the person that would go for interview was Athazwani as the co-coach. But sometimes when things don't go right and Amazulu don't play well or they lose a game, somebody that gets to do the interview was Vilagazi. So for me, that's why I saw it to say maybe both coaches were not in good terms. Yes, we're working together, but me and you on the other side, we don't get along. But because we want to continue the job, of coaching would do that, but I think it has to come to a time where Vilakazi thought maybe this was too much.
Igalans, they draw 0-0 with Polokwane City, and again, another coach who then this time parts ways in the club. For Tendens, I'm running by Mkalela. It's happened quite a bit in his career now, but Igalans still 14th on the log. Do you sort of understand the decision to part ways?
Not really. On this one, I don't understand, because somehow you look at AMA clubs, people that normally makes those decisions, AMA director of coaching, Guloma teams, and the Gukalans, coach and the director of coaching in Untseki, they were all like dismissed. So I really don't understand what's happening. Or maybe the new coach that they are earmarking that is coming on board, maybe, I don't know. But really, it's just so confusing in our South African football, the way teams are run. It's
and then Bakulma Mountain will see him and whether he's safe or not. And Mamelodi Sundowns on Wednesday. Sundowns against a very good Kukune side. They played well, but still play well against Sundowns, and you still concede 4. Sundowns by shy 4-2.
What a game to watch. I think I really enjoyed both sides, because both sides were playing good football. And what you have to look at was like, Woitulama team, Ebepege ama wing wow. And both coaches, I don't know if they spoke about it before, because if you look at Tushalulile, was dropped to the side to make sure that Makhalwa from Sekhukhune was not doing damage with his pace, because they know he's an ex-Sundowns player. But also there was Mokhaila, who was on the other side, and they had to rope in Morena, because also Morena had pace. Yeah. So I think that's where I was looking at, to say both coaches were looking in that aspect. But it was a good game, because it got a lot of goals, 6 goals in that game. It was good enough for somebody Begabugeli game. I really enjoyed the game. Unfortunately for Sekhukhune to lose, but yeah, it was a good game to watch.
The big question now for everybody is Sundowns going to drop points? Are they going to maintain their lead at the top of the log standings? Some will be hoping Kaizer Chiefs can slow them down. That's the big game, of course, to talk about later on today.
Let's hope we're not gonna go to that Kabuyelo tour, the 4x4 tour, later on today. I hope Chiefs will come back on it. In their last game they didn't have a good one. So now it's gonna be pressure after getting 4 from the same team, and they are playing today, so it's gonna be a pressure for them. But for Sundowns, obviously, 15 points ahead, in fact. You cannot say you've got 4 games in hand without points. So for me, I see Sundowns walking away with it.
Quick one, Marumo, they just left Dens, but then the Pirates at home though.
Pirates for a win, because the Pirates are under pressure. Pirates for a win. Petros Mulimele. Yeah, I think Pirates are gonna win.
Big question. As far as the South African game is concerned, can someone, slow Mamelodi Sundowns down? We find out this weekend and in the weeks to come. Thank you very much to Jerry Kosana on the other side of this. We discussed the game out in Germany with Shane, who makes a return, and also a special interview with SABC commentator Brian Moffigan. Welcome back. Now time to discuss the game out in Germany with Shane McGregor. And, we bemoaned the fact over the last couple of weeks that there were a couple of 0-0 scorelines. Germany's back to doing what they do best, score goals every game, had goals, and some important results that came in as well, including the fact that Bayern Munich entertained a very good Frankfurt side this season, but Bayern were outstanding winners of the day, 4-0.
Yeah, I got that completely wrong.
Yeah.
I thought Frankfurt were going to get something out of it, but Bayern winning 4-0. No Harry Kane goals, shows you. They don't need him as much as we thought they do, But again, no penalties in the game, so...
And then another important result, of course, the side that's second, Bayer Leverkusen, back to winning ways with a comfortable away win at Holstein, 2-0.
Good win for them. I expected that to happen. I really did. They're one of those teams that always find a way to win when the going gets tough. But they've left themselves a long road ahead, a couple of points behind, and they'll keep on fighting. They won't give up.
Would you say the race is still very much alive between the two out in Germany?
I wouldn't say it's over just yet, anything can happen, a couple of defeats by Bayern and then Leverkusen are back in, but one thing for sure is those two will be in the top 2.
A few high-scoring games as well. Dortmund, a 6-0 thrashing of Union Berlin.
Good one.
Yeah, at home as well.
Especially they needed it.
Yeah.
Dortmund have been blowing hot and cold this season, unfortunately for them. So that was a huge one for them, 6-0. But they need to be more consistent. They need to keep on going with results.
Have to touch on the 5-0 Freiburg win over Werder Bremen, another high-scoring game.
Another high-scoring game. I didn't see that coming. You know, I didn't see 5 goals in that one. But yeah, Germany, it keeps on producing.
Now, some games to look forward to over the course of the weekend. And for one has to talk about Leverkusen because they are away in the last game on Saturday, or today, to kick off against Frankfurt.
Oof, this is a difficult one. You know, if I had went with Frankfurt last week against Bayern, you know, this is going to be a difficult one for Leverkusen.
And keep in mind, Frankfurt at home once
Exactly,
again,
especially at home. So this is going to be a very difficult one. For Leverkusen, they got to keep on winning. So this is the desperate times for them. They got to win the game. You know, Frankfurt go out and enjoy it. They'll have fun. They've punched above themselves their weight this season. So difficult one to call, but I'm going to still stick with Leverkusen. Yeah, I think they'll get the job done, even if it's by the odd goal.
Now, one that should be an interesting one is Leipzig up against Mainz for the 4:30 kickoff today.
Yeah, you know, Leipzig are one of those teams as well. You know, they've are hot and cold this season, unfortunately. I'm not too sure why and what's happened there, but they're coming up against a team that battles on, gives their best. I think a draw's on the cards in this one.
When you look at the gap between number 1 and 2, it's a big enough gap to wonder whether Frankfurt, who are also somewhere behind Leverkusen, do you see them being able to maybe cause a bit of an upset, get into that top 2 race?
Well, it's going to have to be this weekend. They're going to have to beat Leverkusen this weekend, otherwise they're not going to be in the race. I still feel that it'll end up being the top 2. It'll be Leverkusen and Bayern. That's the way it'll end. But this weekend will tell it all. You know, if Leverkusen get the result, it's all done and dusted.
Well, that's Shane McGregor talking about all things German football then, and while maintaining that the race is not quite over as yet. On the other side of this, we are joined by SABC football commentator. That, of course, is Brian Mulfakane to talk about the latest development in the South African game. The big talking point so far, just outside of what's happening on the field, is what's happening with Royal AM, and we find out what the status is in as far as the Nedbank Cup. We'll also talk about Royal AM and the troubles they've had so far in the PSL as well. Well, as mentioned earlier, we are joined by SABC commentator Brian Mulfakane, one of the, longest-serving commentators currently in the game. Brian, great to be in your company. And, well, the Royal AM story continues in as far as South African football. We know what's been going on in the league. Lots of games have been postponed. We're still waiting to see what the scenario will be at the end of it all. But let's focus for now on the Nedbank Cup, the latest development. For those that aren't in the know, please break it down.
Very interesting. Thank you very much for having me, first of all, Caesar. I mean, if you talk about Royal AM, the big story is always going to be, why did it take so long for a decision to be made? You know, we're always talking the story to say, you keep postponing matches, eventually going to have Royal AM versus .. So Final League did come up with a decision to say, you know what, the game between Milford as well as Kukune will go ahead. So the winner of that game will therefore take on Sundowns. So Royal AM officially booted out of the Nedbank Cup.
Now, the decision made, and it needed to be made from a Nedbank Cup point of view. When you take that same Royal AM scenario, and you juxtapose it to Swallows when they were going through similar problems. Tell us the difference between what Swallows went through, the decisions that were made then, and what Royal AM are going through, and what the difference is now between
If you look at the difference between the Swallows story, remember, it was an issue around them not paying their players. And eventually got to a level where the players said they don't want to be able to honor fixtures, and it was a lot of story. But Royal AM 1 is actually involving a SARS issue. So it's more of a legal matter that's sitting with SARS at the moment. So it's very complicated because until they've got a curator in between who's trying to resolve and sort out certain things around that. So maybe if the taker who comes up and says, I want to buy the team and get involved, might have a different story. But at the moment, it is very, very interesting to see how they're going to be able to resolve it because time is running out. They haven't played matches, you know. When you pile up those matches, eventually, decision must be made. Whether do you forfeit all those matches and give points to the team they're supposed to play against, or do they play those matches, and when do they play those matches?
Now, with Swallows, came to a point where they forfeited matches and those points were given to the teams they were supposed to play. Should they not come to that situation until the Royal AM situation is sorted out before the matches are just too many to play towards the end?
For me, that's the worrying thing, because you've got so many matches that are piling up now at the moment. It's already going to be a very congested season, given the fact that the season's going to wrap up a bit early. So I'm worried about that as well, to say when you're going to make a decision. But if you look at the league overall, there's been those matches, those dates have been set aside for something might happen, alternative dates. Maybe they might be able to use those if they don't make a decision anytime soon. I see trouble going forward.
So we'll be waiting to see what the scenario is here. How long can this wait carry on before we reach a point of no return?
Only time.
Think about it. Some teams are still in the Nedbank Cup. The likes of Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, they still have to play against Royal AM. Some still are in CAF competitions, your Stellies, your Sundowns, your Pirates. So still a busy season with pressure going into March, April, May. How much time do we have to play?
It is worrying. For me, I thought they would have made a decision by now already. As soon as you went through the first two matches, you're not on it. I thought by then they'll say, you know what, these guys are not serious, let's just really do something and move on. But the fact that they've gone in and they've actually had a meeting with the curator, had a discussion, have come up to say, okay, we'll wait to the league matches, but this one is a pressing issue. There's time constraints on this one. Let's get this one done. Let's put you out of this one and focus on the other one later on.
Quickly, let's just touch on the female game and talk about, well, we know the Hollywoodbets Super League is something to look forward to from a female point of view. We all know about Sundowns. We know about the dominance. We know what they did at the awards. And congratulations to them. But I'm more interested in getting an introduction on the new sides coming into the league. And, well, let's introduce those two sides for us.
The two teams are SMVelo from Umlazi in Durban and University of Cape Town. SMVelo were the champions of the national playoff for Sasol, and both teams reaching the final, therefore qualified and promoted into the Hollywoodbets Super League.
But also very interesting already, UCT, the people that got them into the league themselves left. Now the man was in charge, Nassif Morris, also decided to leave the team. So it is very interesting before we even kick off the season. Already even the drama that's happening. I mean, also seen some teams, UWC, for example, lost some players that have left, beefed up the squad with some good players coming in. I've also been interesting to see how Tuks have gone about their business. One of the new signing for the goalkeepers for the South African under-17 team is part of the team now. They've just recruited. So 5 new signings announced by them, 6 signings announced by UWC. So I'm looking forward to the season because we've got a few derbies now in the Western Cape also that is coming up, or rather in the Cape Tide, because Forte is there as well as UCT as the new team. UWC is there as well to talk about. So I'm looking forward to the new season.
Well, the good news is if you get a little bit sad thinking, well, the PSL is coming to an end in the next 2-3 months or so, the good news is the Super League, of course, will start, the Hollywoodbets Super League, and something good to look forward to from a woman's point of view, which is growing, well, by the day, by the year here in South Africa. So, firstly, I'd like to thank Brian Muffiking for coming through and, well, giving us some insight with regards to the Super League, the new teams coming in, as well as the Royal AM situation with the Nedbank Cup. Also, let's not forget Shane McGregor as well as Jace Kosana. Thank them too. And from myself, Sizu Mapena, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes. Click, click, bang.